What's up, Waymakers? It's me, Mommy Suna! Before we get into all the iCarly spiciness and the goodness, I just want to thank the sponsor of today's video, NordVPN. Just a reminder before I get into the story I'm about to tell you, hey, keeping your login credentials private is a big part of cybersecurity, so don't go giving them out to people. Nord does not recommend sharing any private or personal information online, and neither do I. My situation is unique compared to most, so please don't share your personal information, including usernames and passwords, with anyone. Okay, thanks, bye. What I should really say is that this video was made possible by NordVPN. When I heard that there was an anti-MLM episode of iCarly, I knew immediately that I needed to watch it, share it with you guys, bring a video to you all talking about it. The only problem is that I didn't have Paramount Plus. I have like every other streaming service, but not Paramount Plus, and I was not about to open up a brand new account with another streaming service just to watch one episode of one singular show. There's too many streaming platforms these days, I just can't. It's annoying. So I went to my Discord server, which is just a community of my patrons and my members, and I said, hey, does anyone have Paramount Plus that I can log into for one episode of iCarly, please? And I did get a response from one of you guys. You sent me your login credentials, and I was like, great, I'm in. And so I went to Paramount Plus and I put in those login credentials and they didn't work. And then it dawned on me it's because this person who gave me their login credentials was in Canada. So of course their login credentials are only gonna work if the internet thinks that I am in Canada. So what do you think I did? I opened up old reliable NordVPN, set my location to Canada, and then bada bing, bada boom, I unlocked the world of anti-MLM iCarly. By now we should all know that VPNs do this. This is made possible by VPNs. You can unlock media that is not available to you in whatever part of the world you're in. That's cool and all, but VPNs can do so much more than that. NordVPN will add an extra layer of strength and security to your online experience, which contributes to keeping your online identity safe and secure. So basically creates an encrypted tunnel for all of your personal data to travel through while maintaining your privacy, of course. And this is especially important if you are someone who often finds yourself using public Wi-Fi or, traveling often. And also with NordVPN, you can put it on up to 6 devices. So, you can have it on your computer, you can have it on your laptop, your iPad, and your phone. So no matter where you go, no matter where you are or what you're doing, you can benefit from having NordVPN. And listen, we should all value our privacy, and maybe a lot of us don't value it enough. So if you haven't picked up a VPN for yourself yet, now is a pretty good time to do it because Nord is offering my audience a special deal. You can go to nordvpn.com/SavannahMarie or use offer code SavannahMarie at checkout to get a 2-year plan plus 4 additional months with a huge discount, making it only $3.18 per month. So get on it. Thank you again to NordVPN for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you guys, my audience, for checking out the sponsors that I have on this channel here and there. It's because of you guys that they keep coming back, so thank you. Now let's talk about some iCarly. I'm gonna do my best with editing this video. By now we should all know how YouTube always sides with the copyright holder when they try to claim content, so even though everything I'm gonna be doing here is fair use, if I don't try to chop up the footage I'm using, they're going to claim it, so I'm gonna try my best to avoid that, so I apologize. But first of all, the first half of this episode is a lot of exposition, but what I will say is that when iCarly came out, when it was originally airing on Nickelodeon, the kids version, I was probably slightly too old for it, so I was never an avid viewer of iCarly. Oh my god. Yes, Pop-Tart. It's she knows the moment I hit the record button, she's like, what's up? My fans! Your fans are all here and they love you so much. The Pop-Tart love is overwhelming. Anyway, so I had to kind of relearn the characters' names, the ones that are returning anyway, and kind of piece together the plot that way. But I will say that if you don't know anything about iCarly and the universe of iCarly, you don't really need to know any of that to be able to get the underlying message here. But they don't really start giving information about multi-level marketing companies until midway through the episode. So I'm going to start with the exposition. So the episode starts with Carly and Spencer Spencer, talking about how Spencer is insensitive, even to the point where Carly makes a menstrual cycle joke, which, you know, you wouldn't see that on Nickelodeon. But Spencer's all like clearly uncomfortable because he just can't relate to women's bodily functions. Now this character here, this is the new Sam. Her name is Harper. Now I was reading a lot of stuff about this casting decision online, and everyone is like pissed off every time you ever say that Harper is the new Sam, because oh my god, she's totally her own character. There is a little bit of a difference here, because now the whole iCarly web series is really centered around Carly, when before it was Sam and Carly, and Sam was just like jumping around besides Carly the whole time. Harper is more behind the scenes, but in general it's like production and writing found that there was a space that needed to be filled, and they're like, Sam's not coming back. Yeah, by the way, Jeanette McCurdy said that she wasn't going to come back to iCarly for the reboot because she was embarrassed of the role of Sam before.
It's the thing that I feel the most shame of in my entire life. I do not like any of the acting work that I have ever, like any of the projects that I've been a part of as an actor. Even talking about it, honestly, my heart starts to race, and like I feel like I almost could cry. I know that like the shows, that some people liked the shows and like kids liked the shows, and I think that's great that they liked them, but for me it was really hugely negative on my self-esteem and on my mental health. It's a thing that kind of haunts me, and I feel like I'm at this place now. I quit acting a couple years ago and I was like, fuck, I know what I want to do. I want to write, I want to direct, I'm going to work my ass off to try and make that happen in whatever capacity I can. I just feel like I've got this thing on my back, this like weight, this thing that haunts me that I'm not at peace with.
The way they wrote this into the show though, they said that Sam isn't here because she joined a motorcycle gang. And before I get more into the story of this episode, I just want to point out that this revival is very strange in like an uncanny valley sort of way, because the theme song is the exact same song. They didn't even remix it, re-record it, nothing like that. They did cut out a portion of it to make it shorter, but it's the same song, same kind of editing, same post-production laugh track added in after filming, same cheesy lines, stuff like that. So the show might as well be the same, minus Jeanette McCurdy. Swap in Lacey Mosley, who plays Harper. Carly is still doing the same goofy, dumb shit that she was doing before. And honestly, if Carly was a real influencer today, like in real life, she would not have an adult audience. That's the weird thing, is I was reading too, is that Miranda Cosgrove had a lot of creative control over this, and she was saying that she specifically wanted to keep, you know, the magic of iCarly, but make it more mature and like tackle more mature topics, which is, I think, why it's interesting that the whole like menstrual cycle joke like started the episode. It's like, okay, a little try hard, but that's all right. But she 100%, if this was a real person on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, she would have a child audience. She would have an audience full of 7-year-olds. No adult would be a fan of what she is doing. Like, just realistically, no one would watch this shit unless you were under the age of 10, maybe. So, you know, even that is the same. It's all the same, except they say ass a lot. Ass. Back to the story of this episode here. Carly's ex, Griffin, who Carly reveals is obsessed with collecting Beanie Babies, he hits Carly up in the DMs because he wants to meet up. And here's Freddie. He clearly had a glow up, like hello, like physically, but his character had a glow down. What is the opposite of a glow up? I don't know. He is a tech support guy, twice divorced. He has an adopted daughter named Millicent, and he's living with his mother. And apparently he had like a tech startup company that didn't go anywhere, so there's that too. He brings up that he needs $1,000 to move out of his mom's house. He already has $4,000 saved up, so he needs another $1,000. And Carly's all like,
maybe you need a side hustle. You could babysit.
And Freddie's like, I'm a parent. I already babysit all day long for free. Okay. Then Harper works at Skybucks, which obviously is a play on Starbucks, and she hates her assistant manager. And conveniently, Carly meets Griffin at Skybucks while Harper is working. He says he is no longer obsessively collecting Beanie Babies, but instead he went to jail for, I guess, falsely claiming you're a hypnotist. He's bankrupt and he's infertile, and Carly's all like, oh, okay, I'm turned off. Like, I don't want to get back together with this guy, but I'll hear him out. He said he had to sell his Beanie Babies to pay for the settlement, I guess, when he went to jail for falsely claiming he was a hypnotist. I don't fucking know, but she's all like, oh, you've lived so much life. You're so calm. And that's when we are hit with the product pitch. And the product in this episode is called sand. It is a supplement that you supposedly add to your water, and it comes in different, I guess, flavors that you could call it. They do different things. He uses the calm sand, which he says sands away the rough parts of your life. And if he didn't have calm sand, he would drive his motorcycle off a bridge, which is a little culty, to say the least. I think this speaks to kind of the value that multi-level marketing distributors like to put on the products they are selling, whether it's falsely just to be able to manipulate people into buying them, or they truly believe it because the cult mentality thing. So I just imagine like Griffin going on social media and being like, hey, have you tried this calm sand stuff? If I didn't have it, if I had never found calm sand, I would be off a cliff right now. And that's fucked up. It's a little extreme. And also probably a little bit triggering to a lot of people in the actual audience here. Like, why would you write that in? Tone it down a little bit. So he says it contains antioxidants, superfoods, organic mood boosters. It sounds a lot like the hype language we hear a lot with real life multi-level marketing companies. And he's all like, Carly, do you want some? And she's like, sure, sand me. And she tries it, and then suddenly she's like, wow, it's amazing. And for the rest of the episode, she's just like calm. And so Spencer's all like, would the DEA approve of it? Ooh, drug jokes. So Carly pitches it to Freddie, and she's like, hey, this could be your side hustle because, hey, Griffin said he's making a shitload of money off of it. She didn't say shit. So Griffin apparently gave Carly a starter pack, also containing sensitive sand, brave sand, and happy sand. Spencer takes sensitive sand because, you know, the whole dialogue at the beginning of the episode was clearly foreshadowing because, you know, he's just not sensitive enough. Freddie takes brave sand because apparently his daughter Millicent wants to have a meeting with him later. They kind of paint Millicent out to be this bossy kid taking advantage of her adopted father. Like, it's almost like Miranda Cosgrove's character in Drake and Josh. Like, she's that manipulative, conniving little, you know. I don't know why every Nickelodeon sitcom has to have a kid like that. Not even just Nickelodeon sitcoms. Like, there's always that kid who's just like on this other level of like independence. It's weird. Anyway, so that's Millicent. And Freddie's all like, I need the brave juice because she's going to talk to me later. She wants to have a meeting. And then Harper kind of sulks into the scene here because she had a job interview which didn't go very well. She didn't get the job. Carly's all like, here, take this happy sand. And Harper's all like, no, nothing can make me happy. Meh. So later on at the meeting between Freddie and his daughter, Freddie takes a sip of the brave juice, which he calls liquid courage, which is a weird thing to say because I think a lot of people call alcohol liquid courage. He also calls it a shot too. It's like it's a weird writing choice, and I don't know if they did that deliberately or not. But he finds the courage to say no to Millicent when Millicent's all like, I want a puppy. And then they negotiate to get Millicent a pet fish instead of a puppy. And Millicent's all like, wow, good job, Dad. Usually I can manipulate the shit out of you, but this time you negotiated with me. You said no. Great job. She didn't say shit. They don't ever say shit in this episode. So if I say shit, it's not a direct quote. And then Carly goes to Spencer's apartment where Spencer is suddenly just like this sensitive soul because he drank the sensitivity sand. He got her a giant crystal that's supposed to help with her menstrual cycles. And he says if Carly hadn't shown him sensitivity sand, he would be lost. And then Freddie shows up with just boxes and boxes and boxes of sand. And he announces that he is now a sand ambassador. He says he spent $4,000 on the product at an amazing discount. And apparently, you know, Griffin, now being his upline, says that he would make his money back in no time. And how often do we hear that in MLMs? Like, it's so funny because thinking back to my MLM days, I'm like, did the person who wrote this, like who had the idea for this episode, they must have some deep MLM experience in their life, you know, because they're hitting a lot of points here. They're going to continue to hit these points too, but it's just like these little one-liners that I hear and I'm like, damn, whoever wrote this, like, they have a story. I can tell you have a story. I just like to think about the Huns getting so pissed off watching this. Imagine being pissed off by iCarly. Like. But anyway, yeah, so like when I was in Lime Life, that line was used on me because I think the starter kit for Lime Life, well, it was Limelight back then, but whatever. I think the starter kit was like $200, $250. And I was told that everyone on their team made their money back in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, okay, then I guess it's easy. No big deal. I'll make my money back in no time. And I guarantee that anyone who has ever been manipulated into joining any MLM has been told the same exact thing. And that's how they justify spending a good chunk of money on these MLM products. Now, $4,000 is a pretty big investment. My first MLM was like $50, but they were running a special. And then the second one, like I just said, was like $200, $250. $4,000 is like LuLaRoe level, which I think even now LuLaRoe has come out with like lower end starter packs, but it's still like $500 or something like that. But yeah, $4,000, that's a lot. That is a big investment. Carly is all like, oh shit, Freddie, thought you were just gonna start small. And then suddenly she's nervous because she's all like, Freddie, you made this huge investment and this is all my fault. And then she like takes a mouthful of sand. Carly finds Harper. Harper is sad and also drinking a wine glass full of apple juice. Like, fucking come on. Wine does not look like that. I've never seen wine that color, and also that's a shitload of it. That's like half a bottle of wine in that wine glass at this point. Try to tell me that's wine. That's fucking apple juice, baby. So then Carly tells her about Freddie. She's like, oh my god, Freddie just like spent $4,000, which was his life savings. That was his savings trying to get out of his mom's house. And she's like, holy shit, like this is all my fault. If Freddie doesn't make his money back, like he's in the hole for $4,000 and it's my fault. He's gonna be stuck living at his mom's forever. Showing that Carly has, you know, a little bit of a conscience. And then she comes up with this plan that she's going to help Freddie by selling sand on iCarly to her base of 3 million followers. First of all, that's a huge number of followers to have on a singular platform. And again, I mean, I think they try to write it as if her audience is also adults, and it's like, there's no fucking way that any of these would be adults. A 3 million follower base of children is not going to buy the sand from you, chick. But okay, let's just pretend that adults actually really love iCarly. 3 million people around the world are watching Carly bounce around on a live stream every day. Freddie is trying to sell his sand to his tech support customers. The only person Freddie has sold anything to is Spencer, which, by the way, Spencer is rich now. Apparently he made a sculpture that like broke a world record or something on accident, and then like suddenly he's this like highly acclaimed what is that word? Sculptor. Like sculpturist. Yeah, so apparently he's like super loaded and rich now. So Spencer bought some, but that's it. Freddie says that he's begging people to the point where he asked Millicent to text her bus driver, which, you know, isn't unheard of. It sounds so ridiculous. Like, of course this is a sitcom, so whoever's writing this, it's a little more ridiculous than reality a lot of the time, but it's not unheard of, you know? Like, I would not put it past a hun to be like, hey honey, I'm gonna text your bus driver if she wants to buy money. Multi-level marketing distributors will literally hit up anyone and everyone that they can. They'll go to grocery stores, strike up conversations in any way they can with people they don't know. I think on Reddit one time we saw a post of someone was like, this was my old lawyer from like 5 years ago and they texted me trying to sell me doTERRA or some shit like that. Like, they will go through any contact they've ever had in their life and try to shill the product to that person. If you watch Jessica Hickson, there was a video of hers where she was talking about when she was in at work, she would send cold messages to like 100 people a day at one point. And you gotta find those people somewhere. So yeah, text your bus driver, go figure. Anyway, Freddie's all excited because Carly's all like, we're gonna sell it on iCarly. He's like, great, I'll go order more product. And Carly's like, no, I want to just sell what you have and get your money back. But Freddie runs off and he's like, I'm gonna ask my mom for a loan. You have a giant audience, let's expand to that audience. Which again, this kind of pressure, it sounds ridiculous to ask your mother for a loan, but I mean, multi-level marketing companies set up an atmosphere to make it feel like you need to max out your credit cards, open new credit cards, things like that. Like, literally get bank loans, small business loans, things like that. Like, I mean, this is a thing that happens. Again, it's written ridiculously for a sitcom, but I digress. So then in the next scene here, Freddie rides in on a scooter. He says he's made VIP Diamond Salesperson for North Seattle District, or VIPDS for NSD, which plays into the ridiculous rank names that we see in multi-level marketing. Managing Market Mentor, Royal Crown Diamond, National Vice President, like, you know, shit like that. So yeah, it is an expanded term here, is a very long term, and I thought that part was funny, actually. Again, whoever wrote this knows their shit about MLMs, like, they've been there. So I thought this particular scene was pretty good writing, considering the topic. So because Freddie sold a case of sand to Spencer, he got 50,000 sand points.
Oh my god, sand dollars. Sand dollars! They missed out on a joke and so did
did I? Why wouldn't you call them sand dollars? Which he used to buy more sand. The only thing I can think of that like really relates to most MLMs is like a fast start bonus, because a lot of times multi-level marketing companies, if you sign up and then like within the first 3 months, if you recruit this many people or make this many sales or both or something like that, they'll send you free product. I think with pharmacy, if you sign someone up, they'll send you like a free mascara in your first 3 months or some shit like that. And then if you sign up 2 people, you'll get this, you know, stuff like that. So I'm like, that might be kind of like what they're doing here. I mean, I guess some companies have programs that you can earn free product through, but I can really only think of, for the most part, like fast start bonuses, which would make sense because Freddie just opened his business and sold an entire box full of sand already. And then Freddie's like, I quit my job because brave sand Freddie jumps without a net. That's another thing that MLM distributors like to brag about if they ever quit their job. My dream is to do this full time and quit my job, blah, blah, blah. They do this shit. So then at this point, Harper is like listening to Freddie talk about this and she has an epiphany. So I'm gonna go point by point here, listening to the way that she describes it. I would just let it all play out so you can listen to it all in one, but like I was saying before, I think YouTube would definitely strike this video if I played a long clip of it like that, so sorry if it's choppy. That is the beauty of giant media corporations not understanding fair use. Anyway, so she says, Freddie is going to be in debt.
Today he has wheels, tomorrow he'll fly.
Yeah, fly into debt.
Yes, like we discussed earlier, there's usually an investment required to join these companies. Sometimes it's large, like a $4,000 sand investment, and sometimes it's $20, like joining pharmacy. But the debt doesn't just come from the starter kit. Depending on the multi-level marketing company, your upline will probably try to convince you to spend more money on the products because you need to be a product of the product. Surprise, surprise. So you might have joined pharmacy for $20, but your upline is likely going to be like, yeah, but we got 2,000 products, man. The whole idea is to replace the things that you already use in your life with stuff from your new business venture. So in Amway, they've got a product for fucking everything, from household cleaners to beauty products. All of these things will add up and they will get you into debt a lot of times too. Like in this example here, it kind of like speaks to LuLaRoe and paparazzi, where you're highly encouraged to buy inventory in bulk and then resell it for a profit. You don't have to do this with paparazzi, but I think with LuLaRoe you do. I don't know. I don't care. It's bullshit anyway. But anyway, there are a lot of ways that you can go into debt in multi-level marketing companies, and I think that's a big reason why a lot of us try to say, if you're in one of these companies, you need to be tracking your income versus the amount you're spending. Sometimes we have rank buying. I've made videos about that. There's been proof of Mon 800s doing that, where literally if you are like a few $100 away from a promotion, a rank promotion, you might feel obligated to make that purchase yourself so that you would rank up. That kind of stuff happens a lot. Multi-level marketing distributors do not like to admit that that happens, but it does. Anyway, she says,
Sand is shady. It's an MLM.
which is a pretty bold statement to make, but I would say, and I think most people with a logical thought process in their head would say that most multi-level marketing companies are just shady in general, and I think a lot of it is because the product is kind of a beard, because it's really not about the products, is it? It is about recruiting usually, and that's shady. Pyramid schemes are shady, go figure. Harper's all like, it's an MLM, and Carly's like, no, it's not. She immediately defends it without even knowing what Harper is talking about, which how often do we see that?
Nuh-uh. What is that?
You know, it's really interesting because why is it? Well, I know why. It's because they're getting called out and they don't want to be labeled as scammers. But a lot of times I'm noticing some of the higher ranking multi-level marketing company distributors, out of all the posts they make about their business, a lot of it is defending the business instead of talking about the products. In any other job, you really don't have to defend it. You certainly don't need to devote your social media presence to literally defending a legal pyramid scheme. Anyway, Harper's definition of MLMs isn't exactly accurate. She does touch on some important points though. I'll get into that in just a second.
Multi-level marketing. It's a pyramid scheme.
I just have to laugh at the idea that there are some MLM scammers watching this episode of iCarly. Like, how many of them do you think just like skipped over this episode because you're like, I don't want to hear it. Let's talk about information control and the cult, sweetie. But the ones that did sit through this, oh my god. Like, just the idea of them sitting there rolling their eyes like, it's not a pyramid scheme. Those are illegal, hun. If we were a pyramid scheme, we would have been shut down by now. Okay. Tell that to Herbalife, sweaty. Tell that to Young Living, sweaty. And the truth is, they will deny it with all of their Hun strength. But simply put, a multi-level marketing company, 99% of them anyway, are simply pyramid schemes that haven't been caught yet. Just because something is legal doesn't make it ethical. And unfortunately, with multi-level marketing companies and pyramid schemes, the relationship between the two, there is a gray area. We can thank Amway for that from back in 1979, but that's a whole different topic. But like I said earlier, the product is essentially a beard, and they use that product to literally find loopholes into operating a legal pyramid scheme. And even sometimes having that product is not enough to keep them from being labeled as a pyramid scheme, a la Herbalife, Advocare, and a bazillion others. So I want to go through what the FTC says on their website about what is the difference between a pyramid scheme and multi-level marketing company, and how, yeah, like there are subtle differences here and there, but those subtle differences are literally the only thing keeping them from being a full-on pyramid scheme. The other thing is too, is that the FTC's task force simply is not big enough to be able to combat the vast amount of multi-level marketing companies out there. Unfortunately, they can't just go knocking on all of their doors and shutting them down one by one. They can't just be like one Hun here or there. A lot of times there are compliance rules, and the multi-level marketing companies will fall back on those rules to be like, oh, well, that girl, I know she said all that, but we told her she can't say that, and you know, loopholes. Here's what the FTC says. What is a pyramid scheme and how do you spot one? Pyramid schemes are scams. They can look remarkably like legitimate MLM business opportunities, but if you become a distributor for a pyramid scheme, it can cost you and your recruits, often your family and friends, a lot of time and money that you won't get back. Okay, so family and friends. According to the FTC, pyramid schemes that look like MLM business opportunities may encourage you to drag your family and friends into it. Okay, I mean, how many times have we ever heard a Mon 8 Hun be like, my mom and my sister are on my team now, they're working their businesses too. Beachbody. We hear all the time that you need to recruit your spouse in order to get you to the second rank. Like, I mean, we hear this shit all the time. It's very common in multi-level marketing companies, and it's right here on the FTC website. That is point number one of how to spot a pyramid scheme. The promoters of a pyramid scheme may try to recruit you with pitches about what you'll earn. They may say you can change your life, quit your job, and even get rich by selling the company's products. That is a lie. Your income would be based mostly on how many people you recruit, not how much product you sell. Pyramid schemes are set up to encourage everyone to keep recruiting people to keep a constant stream of new distributors and their money flowing into the business. Hello. Hi. So this is what I always say. It clearly says here on the FTC website that even if products are involved in a pyramid scheme, that is not enough to make them a legitimate multi-level marketing company, which I'm of the belief that there really is no such thing. I would say the closest thing that I've ever heard to maybe being a legitimate multi-level marketing company is Creative Memories, because you only make commissions, and it's a very small amount, off of your generation one, like the people you directly recruited and no one else. Most multi-level marketings can't say that. There are downlines, and you earn certain amounts. So you might make 10% of whatever your direct downline sells, but then if they recruit people, you might make 8% off of those people, you know, and then it keeps going down like that. Every multi-level marketing company is different in this way, like what the numbers are or whatever. But here we go. I mean, let's take this paragraph point by point here. If you have ever watched my channel, anyone else in the anti-MLM community, we cover this shit all the time. We like to call these people out because that's what it is. That's how they drag people into the business, by preying on vulnerable people, tugging on emotions, trying to be relatable, being like, I hated my job and now look at me. I mean, just anything. My sister had this disease and then she started taking my essential oils and now she's better. I mean, just literally anything they can do to find someone who might be interested because they have a similar story, a similar trauma. That's why stay-at-home moms, new moms, a lot of them, they are big targets. I was one of them when I had my daughter, but they're big targets because when you're a new mom, like literally all you want to do is be with your baby. That's a big predatory mark here, and be like, hey, you can quit your job and you can make way more than you were making before. So we hear that all the time. FTC website says that that is a sign of a pyramid scheme. And of course they're going to say, I made all my money by selling the product. Well, here's where the loopholes come in, because most of the time, if you were to like itemize every multi-level marketing distributor's paycheck, you would be able to see that their personal sales is just like a very small percentage of the money they make. The big bulk of it, the people at the top anyway, comes from the work that the downline is doing. So if you recruit more people, here we are here, your income would be based mostly on how many people you recruit, not how much product you sell. So if you recruit more people and they're selling product, you are making more money the more people you recruit. But the argument can be made that that money is still coming from product sales. Now, the issue here is that in most multi-level marketing companies, like I was talking about earlier, your upline is going to try to convince you to spend more money on the products, because the products that your downline and your downline's downline and your entire organization underneath you, their personal purchases are also included in your paycheck. Like, you're going to make a cut off of what those people are also buying. That's why we always say that the distributors are the customers. For the most part, those sales, those purchases are not coming from outside customers. Some multi-level marketing companies are more than others, but for the most part, it's like the people who are spending the bulk of the money are the people who are involved within the organization already. Anyway, so of course, if you recruit more people and they're all buying the products and you're at the top of it, it is beneficial to you to recruit more people. I hope this makes sense. Often in a pyramid scheme, you'll be encouraged or even required to buy a certain amount of product at regular intervals, even if you already have more inventory than you can use or sell. This is another thing too. A lot of multi-level marketing companies will require you to hit a certain amount of personal volume every month to be considered active, to be able to claim commissions from your downline. So let's say, for example, it's 200 personal volume, like so $200 in sales. If you have a downline and they made some sales and you want to be able to collect on that commission check from the work that they did, you need to also be working yourself. So if you don't make that 200 in sales to outside customers, if you want that commission check, you might feel obligated to make that purchase for yourself. I think the way they get around this is they're like, it doesn't have to be your personal purchase. It can be through the product that you sold. And it's like, yeah, it could be, but a lot of times it's not. When I was with Gold Canyon, it was the same thing. That's why I got kicked out, because I didn't sell enough and I didn't have enough to be able to reach that PV on my own. Like, I didn't have the money to do that. When I was with Lime Life, it was, you needed $300 in a month in sales, but my personal purchases would contribute to that. What I was told to do was to buy product for myself to put into my kit, because what they wanted me to do was go do in-person parties and do makeup on people. So of course I needed to purchase products to put into my kit. That was the excuse. But really what was happening was I was buying products and my uplines were making money off of my purchases, even though I was a distributor, not an outside customer. I hope that makes sense. You may even have to buy products before you're eligible to be paid or get certain bonuses. Again, like I was just saying, this is a loophole because the website here says you may even have to buy products, and the loophole is you don't have to buy the products. You could sell the products to contribute to your personal volume, but if you don't, then you're gonna feel obligated to do so. But it's not required. That's just like a byproduct of the shitty business structure. You may also have to pay repeated fees for other items like training sessions or expensive marketing materials. In addition, the company may say you earn lavish rewards like prizes, bonuses, exotic vacations, and luxury cars. However, it often turns out that you have to meet certain product purchases, recruitment, training, or other goals to qualify for the rewards, and only a handful of distributors ever qualify. Just a reminder, this is on the FCC's website under a header that says, what's a pyramid scheme and how do you spot one? Everything that I just read to you is so common in multi-level marketing companies. It's like check, 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 check. The company may say you can earn lavish rewards. Yeah, every single one of them. Bonuses, exotic vacations, like how many times do we see these people going off on retreats, which I know aren't always put on by the company, but like, so for example, a few months ago, I did a live stream event where I was live streaming Monet's online. It was like a training event. I think it was called Level Up or some shit like that. A lot of it was spent talking about, look at all these people who earned this trip. When it's like, there's like 500,000 market partners or some shit. Don't quote me on that. And like only 10 of them can qualify. And all those people are obviously at the top of the company. Eventually, most distributors find that no matter how hard they work, they can't sell enough inventory or recruit enough people to make money. They also can't keep up with required fees or the inventory purchases they need to make to qualify for rewards, and they can't earn enough money to cover their expenses. In the end, most people run out of money, have to quit, and lose everything they invested. Where have we heard that before? In just about every MLM ever. And of course, the higher ups, the people who are at the top of the pyramid, are always going to say, you're just not working hard enough. You're not manifesting hard enough. Like, how many times do we hear that? Statistically, this is proven by looking at every single income disclosure statement that every single company releases. is. It's not a matter of you're not working hard enough. It's a matter of statistically, you cannot do this. There's a finite amount of people in this world. And at a certain point, the whole you recruit 5 people and then they recruit 5 people and then they recruit 5 people, I think it's like at 13 levels deep, you have exceeded the world's population, some shit like that. So yeah, this business cannot statistically, mathematically be successful for everybody because there's just not enough people in the world. And even if there were, not all of those people are going to be interested in joining your downline. To finish this article off, I know it's been kind of long, but I felt like it was relevant to this episode. Here are some warning signs of a pyramid scheme. Promoters make extravagant promises about your earning potential. Stop, these promises are false. Now you can make the argument that it's not always false. 99.9% of the time, it's false. That's why multi-level marketing distributors like to brag about, look at, I'm on this yacht with my girlfriends. Look at, I went on this vacation. Look at how financially free I am. I can work my phone while I'm sitting on the beach. I mean, it's not necessarily false. It's just extremely unlikely. Promoters emphasize recruiting new distributors for your sales network as the real way to make money. Walk away. In a legitimate MLM program, you should be able to make money just by selling the product. The truth is that most multi-level marketing companies do pay you a commission for selling the product. However, that is almost never a way to make the big bucks. If you want to make the big bucks in a multi-level marketing company, you need to have a team underneath you. It's just a gray area here in this particular sentence. You should be able to make money by just selling the product. Well, it doesn't specify how much money you should be able to make. It doesn't say you should be able to replace your full-time income by just selling the product. If I'm making 10% of the product I sell in commissions, I'm making money. It's not that much though. Certainly not going to get me on a yacht with all my girlfriends. Promoters play on your emotions or use high-pressure sales tactics, maybe saying you'll lose the opportunity if you act now, and discouraging you from taking time to study the company. Leave by the nearest exit. Any company that tries to pressure you to join is one to avoid. Yeah, FOMO is a thing, fear of missing out. We talk about that a lot. You like to hear these recruiters just kind of be like, I'm so glad I just jumped in. I jumped into this. I took the risk. High risk is high reward. It's kind of like a gamble. I have a whole video about how multi-level marketing companies and gambling addictions are very similar. A lot of times they will have $0 sign up for the next week or a discounted sign up or something like that. It's like, you don't have time to think about it. If you don't sign up right now, you're not going to get this deal. Even you hear a lot of these recruiters try to be like, I'm looking for 3 people to add to my team. I only have 3 spots, so hit me up. But they'll take anybody. If 15 people hit them up, they will take all 15 of those people. But they're using that whole, I have 3 spots left. If you want to be one of them to be financially free, hit me up right now before those spots are filled. Those spots don't exist. They never exist. But it's just a FOMO tactic. Distributors buy more product than they want to use or can resell just to stay active in the company or to qualify for bonuses or other rewards. If you see this happening, keep your money. I mean, come on. I did just get done, talking about in Line Life in particular. It was purchase $300 worth of product so you can add it to your makeup kit so you can build your kit. I didn't want to use all those things. I didn't even want to do in-person parties. And I certainly couldn't resell it, but if I did that, I would be active. So again, it's just another gray area. So I'll leave this whole article down below. There is some more information on it, but I wanted to go through that point by point because saying a multi-level marketing company is a pyramid scheme when in general it is. It is literally a pyramid scheme that has not been caught yet. And they will argue that until they melt into a hun puddle. Just know that these are the reasons why we say that, yeah, they are pyramid schemes, because the FTC itself defines pyramid schemes using examples of what the Huns do. Anyway, we can get back to this whole iCarly thing. She says,
Companies get you to buy inventory of phony products that you can't sell because they don't work. So your only way out is to recruit more salespeople.
in one of my Memes and Makeup Monday videos a few months ago, there was a story that someone told about, I think, their weed dealer. They went to their house to pick up some weed. They invited them to they had a business opportunity, and a few other people showed up. And when the OP realized that it was like a pyramid scheme or just like a really shady business pitch, I guess they were friends with the mom, and the mom was inside, and they're like, hey, I don't know if you know, but your son is trying to pitch us some kind of scam. And she's like, oh yeah, he invested all this money in it, and now now he's just trying to break even by getting more people to invest in it. And that company was Primerica. And then she says,
They keep sellers interested with cheap prizes, fancy titles, and worthless fake currency.
the fake currency thing is not something we see very often. Cheap prizes, yeah, I mean, I guess that could be like, if you recruit this many people in this amount of time, you'll get a free mascara, shit like that. Fancy titles, we already went through that. Royal Crown Diamond, shit, like, ooh, sounds sparkly. Now, where she said MLM products are bogus, we know that's not always true. So in this example, Carly, Freddie, and Spencer are kind of experiencing this kind of placebo effect, and that's a spoiler, sorry, but we'll get to that. Obviously, Carly's all calm, Freddie's all brave, Spencer's all sensitive. It's bullshit, it's placebo, because they're expecting that they're supposed to feel that way, so they make themselves feel that way, just to be able to say that the product works. You see that all the time with essential oils. But, you know, there's makeup MLMs. You can't say that those products are bogus. I guess some of them aren't as good as, you know, a lot of the Huns like to say they are. But some multi-level marketing companies have products that aren't bogus. They're just overpriced. But anyway, the whole placebo thing, we see that in MLMs a lot. The distributor will kind of get into their own heads and force themselves to believe that the products work. In one of the videos I posted, I think a couple weeks ago, we were going through a Ruby Ribbon distributor's video where she was saying that she didn't like the product at first. She didn't like the shapewear. She didn't like the whole cami thing instead of a bra. Like, she didn't like these things, but she got into her own head and forced herself to like them because she knew there was that business opportunity there. With Monet, we hear it all the time. My hair looks like shit. And then the upline will always be like, no, you gotta wait it out. Give it, trust the process, you know? Meanwhile, your hair's fucking falling out, but you're convincing yourself that it's going to be better if you just give it time and keep trying. So anyway, Carly's all like, I've got my head in the sand and I'm staying there. Which is poking fun at the kind of blind devotion that we see multi-level marketing participants have in their own products. It's almost like how doTERRA and Young Living are constantly like saying that they're the best. They're the therapeutic grade, while ours is seed to seal. And it's like, ours is better, ours is the best. And it's like, yeah, but you both say that. So Millicent shows up at Harper's work and she like feeds her fish, and then she realizes she accidentally fed sand to the fish instead of fish food because the packaging and the product look exactly like fish food.
They're the exact same.
And Harper rips off the sand label and sees that it's just repackaged fish food. And she's like, oh shit, sand is fish food. So she goes to her assistant manager. She's like, look, I gotta get out of here. She says she's having an MLM friend emergency. And the assistant manager is like, we've all been there, but if you leave, you're fired. We've all had a friend who's joined a multi-level marketing company that we try to stop. Like, it's just another clever little one-liner that I really liked. But, you know, the assistant manager is like, hey, we've all been there, but you can't leave. And she's like, fine, then I quit. And then she runs off to stop the iCarly broadcast. And now we cut to the sandstorm, as they call it. Note the giant sign here that says, let sand change your life. But they have this hype train going, like any good cult should. And Spencer shows up to speak his truth. And he kind of goes on this like live, laugh, love type of monologue, just like any Hun would, about how lost they were before they found these products. Harper finally shows up. She's trying to warn Carly, and Carly's like, I'm busy. So Harper writes her important message to Carly on a cue card that's just so conveniently laying there. Everyone has cue cards just lying around in their apartment. Carly sees the message right as she's about to give her testimony, but she like starts freaking out, and she just kind of immediately takes Harper's word for it instead of being like, that's a ridiculous thing to say. Why would you say that, Harper? But I mean, I guess it's a live stream, so you can't really stop. I mean, she really could have just like walked off set and been like, yo, Freddie, Griffin, like, give me a minute. Keep pitching your shit, I guess, while I go talk to Harper over here. But no, she starts immediately freaking out. She kind of starts like cryptically defending herself to the live stream audience, which I do want to bring up. Speaking of that audience, if she's got 3 million subscribers, I noticed that in the top corner it shows that there's like a viewer count, and it's always like 20, 30, maybe gets up to like 50 live viewers if you have an audience of 3 million people. That's kind of unheard of, but whatever. She's freaking out. She's saying like, I'm not a fraud, I didn't know. And Freddie's like, hey Carly, what's up? And Carly's like, it's fish food. And Freddie's immediately like, what? Instead of questioning it. So Freddie angrily confronts Griffin, and he's all like, it's fish food. And Griffin's like,
no, it has not been legally proven to be food of any kind.
which is, you know, kind of poking fun at how these companies always have to post FDA disclaimers to be like, these claims have not been evaluated by the FDA, stuff like that. You know, if they don't say that, they're going to get some warning letters, if not fines. And then Griffin's all like, what? And Carly's like, you knew? And then she realizes, oh, he only reached out to me to sell me this bullshit fish food product and not to get back together, just like Carly originally thought he was reaching out to her for. And then Freddie realizes everything was a placebo, but he's like, hey, if that was a placebo, that means that bravery is within me. I stood up to my daughter. I've had it in me this whole time. And then he starts panicking because he just spent $4,000 on fish food like any rational person would. At the end of it all, Freddie does realize, oh yeah, I guess it was a scam. But he does want to pursue entrepreneurship, but in a legitimate way this time. Like I was saying before, he had a failed tech startup, so he's like, you know what, I want to pursue that again. So I guess you kind of have a little bit of a happy ending there. And that's it. That is the iCarly MLM episode. I was pretty impressed, I guess, with how hard they went in on the MLM thing. Like, they didn't try to hide it. They used the term MLM, multi-level marketing, pyramid scheme. They threw that all in there. And they really gave MLM defenders no room to defend themselves. Not logically, anyway. I mean, they're all gonna say the same shit, like, oh, MLM is not a pyramid scheme. We would have been shut down by now, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, you know, here's a video you can send them if you ever hear any Huns bitching about this fucking episode. If anyone cares, the iCarly reboot just got picked up for a second season also. So, also, the first episode of the new season played on Nick at Night. It premiered there, which I thought was really strange, because usually it's like Friends and stuff is playing on there now. So it just kind of seems odd to throw iCarly in there, but whatever. And that's it. Let me know what you think. Hey guys, now it's time to thank my patrons and my members. The people I'm about to read off and the names you're about to see scroll on the screen here are all my financial supporters, and they have access to our private Discord server. Sometimes I give you guys early access to videos, merch deals sometimes. We have a postcard club for some higher level people, you know, stuff like that. I just sent the postcard tier some hand-painted rocks this month. It was a lot of fun, and I've gotten some messages that people have received them and they are enjoying them, so that makes me very happy. So if any of this sounds good to you, or if you just like me, you can go to patreon.com/SavannahMarie, or you can click the join button beneath this video to join my YouTube memberships. They're both the same general programs. One is just on Patreon and one is just on YouTube, but they're the same benefits. So the biggest thank you in the whole wide world goes to Elizabeth Wyatt, Eve Blondo, Nitty Dragon, Leanne, Lydia Jane, Creighton Byers, Maggie Haseman, Meredith Nakata, Molly Wasilewski, Quinlan E, Raya Mew, Sandra Mickelbust, Victoria Weiser, Alice W, April Lindblom, Boris Geller, Katrina Rosemarick, Claire T, Daniel Urena, E. Higgins, Erica Lauder-Craddock, Jerry Duncan, Heidi Haw, Julia Wheeler, Kelly Creffield, Kim Cartwright, Laura Lynn Martin, Lizzie McQueen, Maddie Darley, Rachel McHenry, Samantha Jackson, Stephanie Hell, Tuesday the 13th, Lesbian Plantasy Liz, Tiffany Brust, Auntie Lou, Vamp Faye, Fallon Lowry, Sabrina Franklin, and Julia Nieberdowski. And to the rest of my wonderful patrons, thank you so much for being here and being you. I have to go play mommy now, so keep making waves, babes. I will smell you guys all later. Mommy Tsunami out.